I'm Jim. I'll be leading the session today. I see a few people out there, Ali, Greta, Byron, Anne Marie, Randy, Rakesh. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yep, loud and
Yep.
clear.
Yep.
Okay. Randy, how you doing? Where are you
Cool.
calling out of today?
I'm located in Salt Lake City.
Okay, great. I'm in Denver, so just over the mountains on the other
Yep.
side of the Rockies. About 11 people signed up for this today. This is a newer thing. I ran a pop-up in the app yesterday for a short period of time, just to limit, since this is kind of newer. We're doing some R&D, so always open to feedback. This is a newer thing that we're doing here. Anne Marie's been on a few of them. We're trying to scale it up once we have a good format. The purpose of this, I'll be your moderator. I'm Jim, a founder here. The rough agenda is in the appointment, but I've prepared some slides today on defining your value proposition from a recruiting perspective, but I would like it to be more of a discussion than a presentation. I've got some content prepared to spur the conversation, but I'd love to hear people's ideas on this, on what's working for each of you. Today, the topic is defining your value proposition for your brokerage or your team. Anybody have any questions before we dive in? Okay. We've got a couple more people. I'll give it a sec. Let's see, I've got another note taker there. Let's see. So Randy, so you're out of Salt Lake City. I'm out of Denver. I think Ali, we talked earlier in the week. Greta, how about you? Where are you out of?
I'm out of the greater Philadelphia area.
And then Shane, how about you?
North Central Florida, the villages to Lake City, including Ocala and Gainesville.
Very good. I'm going to go ahead and just dive in. There might be a few other people that joined. We're trying to really get kind of dialed in. So feedback on what seems like it's working at the end. And we plan to scale this up with different topics weekly. So I'll dive in. Ultimately, love your feedback on what seems like it's working. In terms of articulating the value, think of a recruiting conversation, an initial conversation, some kind of appointment. You've got to differentiate yourself. This is the point where you get them interested in the conversation and they say, that's interesting. Why would I go with you versus someone else? You need to have a very clear answer on what the value is. My first recommendation is a short list that's very crisp and is meaningful to them. Start with key strengths and have, think through that, beforehand. And it's, three things that are unique about you, but also matter to them. And that has a lot to do with the avatar of the agents you're talking to. Be able to explain them very confidently and concisely. And then ultimately, don't start out with a pitch. Start out with a discovery discussion where you're asking them questions so that when you do say, what's unique about you, then you can respond specifically to what they said matters to them in a clear and confident way. The rest of this is going to be about some ideas I've heard, but I want to hear from everybody what seems like it's working. First would be your brand and your culture, having a supportive culture, creating an environment where it thrives. I'm going to pause there and ask a question. When you guys are talking to agents, what seems like it resonates when you're describing your culture? How do you describe your culture and what seems like it matters to people out there? Randy, how about you? When you're talking about the culture, when does it matter? What are you saying that seems like it resonates with people?
My role is very different with the company. I'm actually the director of national growth and development. So I spend most of my time opening up offices around the country. For each one of our brokers and their brokerages, we have 68 offices around the country. Even though we're the same company, we have the same systems, processes, tools, a lot like a McDonald's or a Burger King or a Starbucks. The culture of the office is very different because it's based on the broker itself.
Yep.
And so, like, I can go to my office in Colorado, right there in Denver Tech Center, and Paul's office culture is very different than Randy Smith's office in Lehigh, Utah, even though it's the same company. And so, when we're working with agents, they really fit the culture of the broker that they're moving to. And that develops based on how the broker operates their business and what type of agent they're attracting. Because we have a broker that their focus is distressed properties and bank owned properties. And so everybody in their office has more of an investor focus.
Right.
One of our offices that they focus more on new construction.
Okay. Then maybe let me ask some others that are like a team leader or a broker, maybe, or a recruiter. Like, Maybe I'll call some people with their video up. So Greta, how about you? Like what seems like it matters when you're talking to folks about the culture?
People, I mean, when they're looking for culture, they want to, be around folks that are in a supportive environment, and they want to feel comfortable with what they're doing with their business as well. I've had folks be, concerned of being in an office that may have a more competitive nature, and, that people kind of want to know, yeah, what they're going to be expecting when they're showing up and what they're going to get.
And how many people value working in an office and interacting with others? How do you speak to that? Yeah, like how many people just want to work remotely and not talk to anybody? They're off on their own versus they actually want to be part of an office and interact with other agents. I guess it has to do with whether it's virtual or kind of an office-based
Yeah.
environment, but
Well,
how
we're
many
a
people
team,
value?
so it's a little different. So pretty much anybody in our group wants to be around. We have some agents I see once or twice a month. We have other agents I see 4 or 5 days a week. It really depends on each person and how they operate their business.
Differentiate what is unique about you. The biggest answer is niche down and focus on what you are the best at and talk to the people interested in that, whether it be luxury properties, investment properties, specific neighborhoods, right? Shane, what do you think resonates when you talk about what's unique about you?
For us, it really depends on the city. So Gainesville, our center market, so our broker's pretty much a legend here, highly respected, name brand recognition. Everyone else is, it's either KW or whatever the name brand of the overall brokerage is. For us, it's more of a name brand, pretty much one of the top female entrepreneurs in the nation. For them, we just say her name and everybody wants to have the conversation and loves working for the family that is Pepin Realty, especially because you get to see Betsy Pepin pretty regularly in the office. She's really hands-on, actively involved. In Ocala, she's not as well known. For us, our value proposition is how fast we can get you on the board, how fast we as a team are able to get you in front of clients, get you contracts, get you closings. And that's just our value proposition is we can put new agents, whether you're newly licensed or a veteran agent, we can get you your first contract in 90 days.
Okay. Allie, how about you? When you're explaining what's different about you and why somebody should work with you, how do you explain it and what seems like it resonates with people?
Honestly, it's like so easy and so hard. The company that I brought to Minneapolis, I was a part of its growth in Denver, and bringing it to a new market is very hard to break into. Our huge value prop is we have a very collaborative culture. I've found the broker is not just behind a closed door or hard to get in touch with. We have a very small co-working environment and a robust in-house design team, which most folks really appreciate. I see the value in that. I have a really hard time articulating the value of that because everyone also wants to be like a Canva maven, which is fine. But articulating that value, that the value they see in that comes after the fact, and they're like, oh my gosh, now I get it. And so it's really hard to articulate that. But we do have a very collaborative, supportive, and like healthily competitive, not in a shameful way, but like no one's trying to go behind somebody else's back or not share our secrets. It's dynamic, but it's a challenge for sure.
And then the third one would be kind of brand strength. I guess this could be either, like it's interesting. The image just disappeared. So the guy that was just talking, his owner, like the broker owner, was somebody specific. Others would be, like if you're a franchise, your specific brand or office. Randy, maybe you're the best one to speak about this. It sounds like you're selling franchises. Which brand is it with?
We're an independent, not a franchise. We're equity real estate. We're in 28 states. Equity. Thinking back to your supportive culture and differentiation, right here on the wall behind me is our core values. And those are posted in every one of our offices. And those are really what we recruit to.
Yeah.
And of course, every company has a unique value proposition or a unique selling advantage over their competition, or at least they should. Even when we interview agents, one of my first questions is always just, what are you looking for in a broker? Because I could tell them how great equity is all day long, but if it's not what they're really looking for, then we miss the mark.
Right. And maybe this is directed to franchisees or Arthur. Does that matter? How does that matter when you're talking to agents? How many people know HomeSmart? How much is that a factor in the conversation versus just you personally being the one that they'd be working with? When does that come in?
Well, me personally, my name is more prevalent in the area. I've been in the business for 32 years in this location here in New York. However, I got joined this franchise, which is approximately 25 years old. It's called HomeSmart. It's 100% module, originated out of Scottsdale, Arizona. And it's very prevalent on the West Coast. You have spoken to Todd Sumney, and he gave you all the briefings on it. I'm the first guy who took it to the New York area here.
Okay.
And when I just did that in 2016, you have guys asking me questions like HomeSmart. What is HomeSmart? You know? And they were asking these questions over and over. What is HomeSmart? We are the 100% guys, and it's gradually developed now where it's more or less populated right now. We're getting a whole lot of support. People are coming, as Randy just mentioned, about core values. We have all of that as well. Not just 100% commission, but all the bells and whistles that most of these national brands has. We have all of that in terms of training, technology, support, the whole 9 yards. However, we give you 100% commission as long as you know what you're doing, but the training is there. When you just started out, you're not going to get 100%. You got to know what you're doing to get 100%.
What's interesting is the brand didn't really help you because you were new there, right? So not really. Okay, so the next one I want to throw out is just
and sometimes, Jim, the brand limits you. Before I came to Equity, I was a Remax franchise owner for 10 years. I'd interview agents every day that couldn't afford me. And so they just weren't a good fit because their production wasn't high enough. I actually turned away more agents as a franchise owner than I did as an independent.
Interesting.
That's important. You avoid numbers, right? You just didn't want numbers. You want productivity. Correct, Randy?
Yeah, culture, productivity, all
There
the way.
you go.
So the next would be tech and tools. This is probably going to be specific to brokerage, and some people really lead with this, others don't. I mean, maybe what seems like when you're talking to agents that matters here, like that people actually care about, CRM leads, how much do your agents use the tech that you give them? So maybe I'm just open for ideas there and what seems like it matters.
If I'm being honest, every interview, it's so important for agents to talk about what's your CRM, what platforms are you on? And I've gotten into the habit, not necessarily to be spicy, but to say like, oh, how are you currently using yours? What you find is they Google the list of questions they have to ask, and what's your tech stack is on that list. As a small independently owned brokerage, I have a pretty nice tech stack, but there's definitely shinier ones out there. There are very robust CRMs that I don't provide. I have a CRM on our back end. We have all the things that you need, but most folks think they want something. They're finding their barriers to put up, and tech happens to be one of them. And so I've pushed myself to say, well, how are you using it? And what's the challenge? I don't know if that answers your question, but I think agents like to think that tech is really important to them, and they want it to be their silver bullet. There's also a faction of agents that have their CRM that they do independently, and they're good. No matter where they go, it's going to be fine because they already have that habit in place.
Right. So it's almost like a check the box thing. Like,
yeah,
they think it matters, but you're kind of validating. No, I like that. How about anybody else? What seems like it? Byron, how about you? We haven't heard from you yet. What seems like it matters when you're talking about tech with agents, or at all? Is it a factor?
From what I've learned so far, it's really not, because this is something new to me as well as me opening up a brokerage.
Yep.
And so I've been using ones that's been provided for me until I met you guys. I give one that comes with my website that they're utilized between that and the MLS. So when we're talking about CRMs, this is all new to me as well.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so the next thing is marketing and lead gen. Does anybody actually give leads to their agents? Where do they come from, and how much of a factor is that? Any marketing services leads you give them, especially paid leads or earned media kind of leads, and how much of a factor is this in conversations? I would guess, especially with new agents, this is probably very top of mind. Who wants to go for it? Allie, you seem like you've got an answer there. So
I have so many opinions. It's just like a funny little circus to me that, again, we have leads, and it's not like a Zillow, it's not like a Flex team or We do have the opportunity for OpCity. If you had OpCity, you can receive those leads at our company. But we do have leads that register on our website. There's certain criteria for you to receive them on the roster. But everybody you have the new agents who they want to work leads, they want to do it, but they don't do the things to secure leads or to work them. Some people really want them, but then they don't work them. It's nice in a conversation and an interview to say, yeah, we do. We provide leads. It's an opportunity for you. And that gets most people really excited. Once onboarded, maybe I'm not teaching them how to work them better, even though they can, but people like it. Or you have that other faction that's like, absolutely not. I only work within my database.
Okay.
Well,
Shane.
we're taking a little bit different approach. My department, ISA, leads management, distribution. So we have a pretty robust ISA department that I've built out. We just changed our model January 1st, and we don't hand out leads anymore. We only hand out appointments. We implemented what I'm going to call, everything's named a project around here, but Project Lexus, which is basically a customer service program built on the Lexus follow-up and customer service program. And so we hand out appointments and we follow up regularly with the clients directly and make sure they're being taken care of. So we began January 1st. If you're on the team, you can be independent and do your own thing. But if you're on Team Pepin, you are getting appointments and also having an entire department follow up and ensure the client is being serviced properly. It seems to be going really well so far.
That's an interesting change. Is it because they were worried that the agents were following up on the leads?
When I got in here in September, it was very clear. I put big words above my desk. Where are we losing our clients? Because we have 17 paid lead sources and we pay a lot of money to generate leads. And the fact that we began working in November to try to transition to appointments, we take the leads internally in the leads department, and my ISA team and I, once we get the appointment, then we'll assign it. The broker was like, we're losing so much. I'm spending a lot of money and our ROI is not where it could be. It was okay, but it's not where it could be.
Is ISA team, are they in the US? Are they like in the Philippines or somewhere?
We use Power ISA. So my 5-member team right now, and I'm onboarding 2 more on Monday, 7, they'll all be from Mexico.
They're in Latin America. What lead sources are feeding them? You said 17 lead sources. Those are the leads, and then they're calling them to qualify and set appointments for the agent?
Yeah, so we're the Zillow Flex team for our market. Zillow Flex that's the one lead source that can go directly to the agents if there's no follow-up. The team knows if you don't respond to a Zillow Flex lead in less than 24 hours, the ISA department is going to be calling that lead. If they have not heard from you, we're pulling it and setting the appointment and giving it to another agent.
How many agents is that serving?
The Flex team is 14. The total buyer agent team is 26.
That's a pretty high ratio of ISAs to agents. So that's pretty well organized.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have any experience shares on how leads factor and marketing factors in with conversations with agents? I'll move on. The next one be just training and development, right? So either training programs, coaching, and then just support. How does this factor into conversations with agents, your own agents and prospective agents? What resonates with people? What are you guys saying that seems like it matters there? So, Allie, you always got a good answer. So I'm going to go with you first.
That people often just want to find a place where they fit in. Most of the people I work with now have felt like a number somewhere. They were lost somewhere. And so they've found a lot of value being part of a cohort that feels high touch, pretty close knit and very collaborative. And they always want something more. They want the class. And that's what gets them to show up. It's like a really high value training. If I can get CE or just something where they can come together with other folks that are both within our brokerage. And then it's also what I use as a big recruiting tool. It's just like hosting those events and those opportunities for them to invite their other agent friends. And I do a lot of coaching and I work on training and coaching as well. I know a lot of agents come saying, I had coaching at my last place where they have the productivity coach and I think they do well, but they've left lacking. So that's definitely a piece that I'm able to fill in the gaps for them. And it's also paid off. I have a success story. So that's a really big value prop that people want to see is like, how did it work for somebody else? And then how do I find myself in that story?
Okay. And then just Shane, how does that factor in at Pepin? Like in terms of what do people value and what seems like it matters for agents in those recruiting conversations? And then
we have an entire training department. We have the managing broker who handles one-on-one trainings. And then we have a boot camp series that we do on a rotating basis, boot camps 1 through 5, and then it starts over. They found a lot of value in there. We've got agents that have been here a year that have been through the boot camp series 3 times to continue to get upgraded training. The mentorship program works really well, getting them with a mid to higher level agent for a period of time where they can go out in the field and be with them.
Allie, we have a visitor. That's fantastic. That sounds great. Thanks for that, Shane. So then I guess the next concept is sharing your success stories. Your own agents that are happy are probably your best advertisement, right? One thing I've seen that works super well is just get them to record a video on their phone talking about their experience and what they like about working with you. Has anybody done that? Getting specific success stories from their agents, either in video? I mean, theoretically, case studies, but video is so powerful. Has anybody done that?
We have, definitely.
Okay, I strongly recommend that, Randy, too. We did a webinar on using video. It's out in our YouTube channel with one of our broker owners in Minneapolis. He did a lot of social events and had people take videos, and that worked really well. Emailing it out, putting it on the YouTube channel, just including it in all his content. Shane, how do you use that video content?
Yeah, using Brokerkit, we have the agents. If we identify potential agents that are highly likely to transfer, we'll have our senior agents text those videos over directly as a warm welcome. Hey, we're looking forward to seeing you. We know you're going to stop by and talk to our managing broker, but we wanted to reach out and tell you what a great family we have.
Excellent. Anybody else? How else are you guys using? I think Randy, you mentioned it. Who else is using some kind of content around their own agents and their recruiting?
We do a couple webinars a month that are value added in content. One that we just recently did was on how to host successful events that generate referrals. And it was based on photos of our agents hosting their own client events. It was highlighting agents and feedback and their success, not the company's. So it was personalized to an agent sharing their story and why other agents in the company should be hosting those events themselves. But then exactly step by step how to do it.
And who was invited to those webinars and how was it marketed?
Everybody. It was marketed all over social media, also internally. We don't care who attends our webinars for training.
Okay, and then have a clear understanding of your strengths, communicate it clearly and confidently, make sure it's addressing specific needs. Start out with a conversation and discovery, and make sure you can tie it back to specific success stories. That's the message for today. Did we hit most of the highlights? Okay. So that is it for the structured part of this discussion. I'm happy to stay on with any kind of, Q&A that you have, if you want to talk about the product or just, what's working in the marketplace. My ask would be, what topics do you think would be valuable to you or other users in the future? Anybody have any ideas on good content or topics? Feel free to just, you can just, if you don't want to say it live, just drop it in the chat too. And then open any feedback. This is a newer thing. We're evolving this. We're about to start scaling it, but I want to make sure we have a good process. What did you guys think about this? I mean, today, in terms of using a little content, but keeping it interactive, what did y'all think about the structure and any ideas on how to make this more valuable to folks?
I think it's great. We just need to try and get more content, just get some more folks on and be more interactive here and see how we can feed off each other's energy. I like what Ali had to say, Shane, Randy, you guys all have some great pointers. I enjoyed it.
Love it. Ali, any suggestions on future ones, whether it be content, format, anything?
I like it. I like coming together. I'm a solo owner and I don't have anybody else sitting at the table with me. So it's always nice to come together with other people and hear how they worked. I was never trained on recruiting. I'm kind of learning as I go. Brokerkit's been instrumental. It's almost such a big beast that I don't even know all of the things that I should be using it for to implement and to work smarter and not harder. So those are always really helpful. Like, hey, this is the goal. If you want to identify your strengths, is this platform helping you do that at all? Or what are you doing to prime people about value communication before you meet them? I'm a sponge. I always just want to hear how it works well. I'm learning as I go here. We got to grow.
Right. Thank you,
Jim. I would say my biggest thing is attraction and piquing interest, because we talk to agents every day, whether they're a co-op agent, whether they're a cold call, that they're on our list of the ideal avatar agent we want to have in our brokerage.
Yeah.
And then we reach out to them and they're not interested. They've been at their company for 10 years. They love their broker. And then 2 weeks later, you see a social media post that they moved to another company. Were you really the one that planted the seed and got them thinking? And how do you get them back? Or how do you attract that person that closes the 5 to 15 transactions a year that you just get them to say,
Yeah.
like, I'm happy where I'm at, but I also want to learn more about what they're doing, because whatever they're doing, I keep seeing it.
I love it. Randy, I think a few of these people have gone through, but we have a new training session, Agent Recruiting with Brokerkit. Anybody that has not gone that, let me make sure you know where to sign up for that. I think a big part of that is, and we covered it in that class, have a reason to reach out. And what are the reasons to keep in touch with people, right? Because the biggest thing is, even if they're a perfect fit, it's only at least probably 20% is going to be a good time for them. I mean, they could have things going on in your life and you just got to keep in touch with them. So if you're in the app and you go to Help Center, Product Training, Training Calendar, we have a session right here, Agent Recruiting with Brokerkit. I lead every Monday and Wednesday. For anybody that hasn't gone to that, love to see you there. We're not having it next week. I'm actually out of the country with spring break with my kids. But after that, I'd love to have anybody kind of join that. And that might give you some ideas. Thank you for your tips. We'll factor that in. We'll do more of these. The plans to scale it up once we have some kind of a good format. That's it for the structured part of this discussion. Anybody that wants to stay on for any kind of specific Q&A, by all means. If not, thanks for your attendance today. Look forward to seeing you on some of these in the future. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Jim. That was wonderful.
Yeah, Jim, I did what you said from my class last week, and I noticed that I put out an email with the different agents, and I put out like 50, and I saw this morning where like 40 of them opened the emails. So my thing is now for me to start contacting those agents.
Yeah, for Byron, the fortunes in the follow-up, right? So
Yes.
I think we probably talked about it in the training, but that's where the multi-channel, multi-touch outreach comes in place, right? It's going to take multiple touches across different channels to get that reply.
Yes.
You off one email, you probably gave an impression. Now, when you're following up, they'll start to know who you are. And that's why if they don't know who you are, it usually takes a couple touches across channels for them to really resonate. Oh, he's being persistent. He must really want to talk to me. He seems like he cares. One email these days doesn't cut through the noise enough. It goes back to the training. I probably sent you the slides. Multi-channel, multi-touch, try across email, text, call, try some of those variations we talked about, and then just have a reason to reach out.
Some of the agents that I've touched, know them personally from doing deals with them and working with them.
Yep.
And now, as me being the broker, it's different now,
Well, let me ask you a question. Have you looked up their social media profiles and sent out connection requests on any of them yet?
I looked them up on my list, and a lot of them, their social media is not connected to the profiles, to the profile in the Brokerkit.
Okay, let me show you. Are you seeing my screen here?
Yes.
We get a hit rate of about 50%. Let's take Carissa as an example. We have our automated lookup, which has a hit rate of about 50% on average.
Yes.
We get everybody. And even Chris, if you look at it, it pulled her Twitter, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. But let me show you a secret. If I go up and I click this arrow by her name, I'm going to search her name and company. And I'll see other things like Zillow, all that. But look, see, I see Instagram out here. And it didn't pull Instagram. So what I can do is copy her Instagram and then manually add it. If I go in and add it right there, now I have Instagram also. Then I would go and pull them on everybody and send connection requests too. Maybe as that first touch. You've sent an email, now do a touch on another channel. Because it's another touch on a different channel. And be sure to send it on LinkedIn, send them a nice connection request too, that's personal. And that gives you information when you're reaching out in the future about maybe some things they have going on. Maybe you see on LinkedIn, they had a recent closing, or on Instagram, they had a baby.
Yes.
That gives you a reason to reach out and touch base.
Okay.
So
you gave me a lot of good ideas last week, and I've been sitting here implementing them, digging in deep for them. So that's why I'm sitting back, just listening to everybody's ideas.
Yeah, I love it. Any other questions for me? Hit me up, Byron.
Well, pretty much right now, you just gave me another little nugget, and I'm loving that already.
Try that out and come back next week. We'll keep talking, and you're going to be crushing it before you know it, man.
All right, I will.
Well, thanks.
All right.
for the
week.
conversation. Great week, Byron.
Bye.
Anne Marie, I'm curious, since you've been my friend on these for a little while, let me know if you have any suggestions for this one today.